And welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to continue our work in Photoshop by discussing the fill tool. Now, we did talk a little bit about the paint bucket a little bit last time and how we can use that, but we kind of avoided it last time when we were working on a rainbow gem, specifically because I wanted to take today to show a little bit of a technique that's going to make our lives easier when we're dealing with pixel art. So to get started, let's go ahead and first make something that we can go ahead and color. So I'm going to go ahead and make a flag. So let's start off by first making a quick flagpole. And if I have that off just a little bit, I'll just move that over. Let's try this one more time, trying to get that nice straight line. And if I don't have, that's okay, I can just adjust. And then I can always take my eraser tool and remove that line as needed. So I have a flagpole here, and maybe I want to add just some pixels up here just to kind of show that this is increasing in height. And let's go ahead and make our flag. And that flag might have a bit of a bend in it because maybe it's blowing in the wind, and that's okay. So it does look like I need to clean this up a little bit here because it looks like my flag is actually changing its size, so we don't want that to happen. Alright, and of course this is a little rough, so I of course can clean this up a little bit as I need to. So for example, I might just say, you know, I'm going to go ahead, follow this straight out. And that looks a little bit better. Alright, it's not exactly perfect, but it does look a little bit better than what I had before. And of course, I can always clean this up. Now, let's go ahead though and take a look at this flag and say, what can we do to colorize it? So we could do what we kind of did before with our flag, which of course was, for example, we said, hey, you know what, we want this flag to be individual colors, and we're going to go ahead and color each of those individual sections, so on and so forth. So there of course are ways that we can do that to kind of help speed this along. And I'm just making kind of a generic flag here. It's going to look kind of like the American flag, but it's not necessarily going to be a one-to-one of it. Just for our purpose here today of showing some different things with our pixel art. Alright, and let's just do one more stripe actually here in the middle. Alright, so we have a nice flag kind of starting off here. We of course could come in here, divide these up more. If I really wanted to make this look like the American flag, we could do that. But I'm just doing a crude flag right now. You could do your own flag. It doesn't really matter. So for this one, I'm just going to use this pretty standard flag shape. I say most of us could look at this and say it's a flag. So let's add some colors to it. So what we did last time is we used the pencil tool and we said, hey, you know what? I want to go ahead and color. So let's say make this blue here. So I'm like, all right, well, I can of course come in here. I can pick out a blue, or I can go to my swatches like I did before, pick out a blue that I think is going to look really nice in there, and then I can take my pencil tool and I can go ahead and paint this in. And you know, I can even increase the size of the pencil tool if I want to kind of make that go quicker. But of course, we do run into issues of it's not exactly filling in all the areas that we want to necessarily be in. So how can I go about doing this for these other zones? Let's say I want to keep with the American colors here, and I want to use red, white, blue. Alright, well, I can pick my red easy enough, but if I wanted to paint all this zone, well, I could use my bucket tool. But if you recall, if I click on this, we do get some kind of spilling over of that red color. And yes, I could take my eraser and clean each of those individual zones up. However, there's a way to kind of help make that a little bit nicer for us. If we look up here at the very top of our bar, you will see there's a little checkbox that says anti-alias. And what that's doing is it's kind of looking at these zones. You notice, for example, I color this in where we don't have that hard edge explicitly defined for point to point with those pixels. You can see that that red is coming through on those edges. That's the best way to kind of visualize what the anti-aliasing is doing. Now, if I uncheck that box, come down here and click, you can see that it has not crossed those borders. So with the anti-aliasing on, it is of course allowing it to traverse those edges. Otherwise, I can come in here and click and quickly fill those zones. Alright, and if I want to, let's say, do white, I can do that as well. And you can see how quickly this is going now with my pixel art. It's going so much quicker now with what I'm able to do. And if, of course, wanted to do some other colors, maybe I say, you know what, I want to have maybe a gray for my flag. pull, there's that. And just like that, I've created a quick flag icon. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'm going to challenge you to make your own flag, but then let's also see if we can do that to make a couple other shapes. Let's see if we can make also, let's say, a moon, a sword, and how about a shield? Again, I'm going to pause the video, come back, and I'm going to show you what I created, and I want you to go ahead and try to create those own objects. We'll see you in a bit. Alright, let's see how we did. Here is, of course, the flag that we had done earlier. This is the moon that I came up with. You can see I did a crescent moon with a couple stars just to have help fill the background in. And you could have done a round moon, you could have done, any other kind of shape for the moon. It's up to you. Then here, of course, we had the sword. This is the one that I made right here. And then lastly, I went ahead and made a shield. Now, of course, you could have done, for example, like a round shield or a buckler or something like that. Those are options that are available to you. Because ultimately, we're getting into the point where we're starting to get comfortable with making our own pixel art. Now, I want you to make sure that you take time to save each of these images here. Save the Photoshop files too, because we might actually be coming back to revisit these in a future project where we can start bringing in together everything that we've done.